The goal of today's game is to replicate an experiment that must have been done in the late 18th century, but I have never found any sources that described it. I'm really curious how effective tirailleur fire was against a single soldier, how accurate these muskets were with their original service loads. So in this case I should be using 12 or 13 grams of black powder and a 24 or 27 gram round ball to load them. But I'm not planning to torture these originals, so I have a Pedersoli Austrian 1798 Austrian Musket repro here. The caliber, the lock and every important parameter of the gun are the same. There are only a very few minor differences compared to the original, but these do not have any modifying effect on my little experiment. The Pedersoli gun is a well-made faithful repro, excellent for both target shooting and reenacting. The barrel of my original 1798 musket is shorter with 10 centimeters, which can have two reasons. It can happen that this musket was manufactured with shorter barrel length, but it is also possible that light troops shortened it to facilitate loading. The Pedersoli repro is a good choice for these historical experiments, as both the caliber and both the barrel length matches the original 1777 or 1798 parameters. Maybe the greatest difference between original and repro is the method for securing the bayonet. I will do a historical experiment for you. I'm going to test the accuracy of the original 16.5mm bullet and load, which was originally developed for this new musket in 1777, and I'm going to compare it to the load adopted in 1792 with the 15.9mm ball. I'm going to try these loads at 100 paces or 75 meters and 200 paces or 150 meters. I'll also pay attention to use the right powder loads, so I'll be using really heavy charges to meet at least 500 meters per second of muzzle velocity. So what I really want to know now is how effective these muskets were against a single soldier in the hands of the light troops with the old service loads. Let's hit the range now. We know the descriptions of quite a few flintlock musket shooting tests done in the 18th-19th century. Unfortunately, these tests do not offer a great help in understanding the accuracy of these muskets, as these tests were fired on targets as big as the front of the enemy close line. Their goal was not to check the grouping, but to count the holes after a volley of fire. I started the work with setting the right load. To meet a muzzle velocity of 500 to 550 meters per second, I had to load 11.6 grams of Swiss No. 4 powder. So this type of powder is quite close to the ordinary musket powders of the late 18th, early 19th century. The recoil of the musket was very heavy. Now I understand why the soldiers were afraid of their guns.
I'm ready.
Both on 75 and 150 meters I used the full man-size target, and I also added a black area to the upper torso to help aiming. The real goal was to understand the capabilities of the original musket and load combination, so I strictly used the original load data. I started the fun with the 15.9mm ball, and my target was the enemy skirmisher at 75 meter distance. No matter how hard I tried, it was a real challenge to hit the man-sized target even with shooting from the rest. Out of 5 shots I only had 3 in the target, and only one caused an injury. So to tell you the truth, the 15.9mm ball is not enough for the skirmish duty even at 75 meter distance.
Okay, so now I'm changing to the earlier model. This is a 16.5mm ball with the same powder load. Let's see if it's more accurate or not. It's a tighter fit for sure. But still it's easy to ram down. It's kicking harder.
This load was clearly more accurate. With the bigger ball I had all the 5 shots in the target, and 3 shots clearly caused severe damage to the soldier. My group was a bit to the left, so I think this could be improved. Now it was time to increase the distance from 100 paces to 200 paces or 150 meters. I started with the 16.5mm balls, and it did not start bad at all. But from the following 4 shots, only 1 hit the target, and it missed the left arm of the soldier. The last stage of the show was to try the 15.9mm ball at 150 meters, and after seeing the poor performance of the bigger ball, I knew this cannot be satisfying. My shots were not grouping at all. I could only hit the target once with this load, and I'm sure that this could only be luck, and the hit was rather a flesh wound than a real injury. Ladies and gentlemen, that's half day of shooting with service charges. That means over 10 grams. That's around 11 grams I had in the musket for each shot. Don't do this. It's not fun. After half day of shooting I had bruises on my face, my shoulder was aching, and I burnt as much powder as I used during a full month. I had to admit that this was not the fun part of the black powder shooting sports. While I was shooting in much better conditions than the battles of the early 19th century, the inaccuracy of the load and the musket, the lack of sights, the long lock time, and the extreme recoil all questioned the effectivity of the smoothbore musket against a single soldier. The 16.5mm ball performed quite well at 75 meters, but I think that the 15.9mm ball was only effective against the face of a closed battalion line. Nagyobb lövedék jobban tömíti a csövet, kvázi jobban hasznosítja a lőpag energiáit. És kurvára fáj az arcom. Thanks for visiting the Cap'n Ball YouTube channel. If you love history, please subscribe. Take care.